Welcome to the 2-Act Podcast, where we cover all things anime, cinema, and TV. I'm one of your co-hosts, gothjon, and always I'm here joined with Adi. Today we are going to cover Season 2 of Andor. This season, every arc is set 1 year later. No more cheesy Star Wars content right before the pivotal Rogue One. Adi, what were your first impressions of the Season 2 of Andor?
My first impressions were like, it felt like I never left. It just takes you into the action fairly quickly from where we left off. Although it's set like a year ago, but it was nice to go back to this world. I know we only reviewed the first season like 6 months ago, but it's interesting that it's been like nearly 3 years since that first season came out. And yeah, I was so excited. I was really looking forward to watching this, and I was kind of like cautiously optimistic because we know what Star Wars with Disney and the run it's had. It's been kind of problematic, hit or miss. But I'd argue like this is like the best thing to ever come out of any Star Wars content. Like I would say it's probably up there for me as one of the best TV shows I've ever seen in television, not even Star Wars. And the fact that, Tony Gilroy gets to complete his vision, and, it's the second and the final season of the show. So there's no more, it leads you up to where it's first sort of expected you to leave off, which is Rogue One. And I'm still blown away by, the fact that this is a prequel of a prequel, you know,
And that it's
and it worked.
good.
Yeah, it's so fucking good, bro. I just
Yeah.
wish more people like watched it and I do want to talk about like the way it came out. It was a bit interesting how they decided
Okay.
to like release the show in blocks, but it kind of makes sense. But what was your first impressions?
Well, I thought, yeah, it has all the things that I like that the first season had. It has more delicious, velvety speeches that almost get me riled up to go to my local protest. It has a lot of like correlations with like American politics in the current year. Just, I hate my president, yada, yada, yada. I want to take down I want to be with the working man, the proletariat, and go full Marxism. Now it's
Oh,
I like this a lot. It only makes me worried of what next Tony Gilroy project, if he does another TV series, like if it's gonna like hold up to like the same regard.
oh,
Especially,
absolutely.
yeah,
I completely agree with you. I think what I enjoy about the show is how much of a political thriller it is, and the political balance the show has is so bold and so there's so much synchronized like events that are taking place in the world today with conflict and genocide and you know fascism, and you're seeing the way that's been depicted in this story. It's incredible. And I do think like a lot of it is Tony Gilroy, because I know, for those who may have been familiar with Rogue One, which is the film that is set before Andor, well, after Andor, sorry.
yep.
But that was actually still an original work where Tony Gilroy was brought in to rework, but this is completely his creation. This is like from start to finish his show, his baby, and he's had full creative control to do whatever he wants. And I think that itself is it's kind of a miracle for this show to exist for me, because it's taking something small from this vast, rich IP universe, and it's taking a character, and it's showing you the scale in which it tells this story, and the scale in which it tells you the infancy and the birth of the rebellion is remarkable. Because we all know how the original trilogy ends and where it leads, but to show how it began, to show the many battles that need to be lost and fought before you can win the war is incredible. That's what this show is about, and it's as much as it's about Andor, who's an incredible character in the show, played by Diego Luna. It's still so much more than that. There's still so many great characters in this show that pull its own weight. Luthen Rail,
Leia!
Stellan Skarsgård, Luthen Rail. You
Dude,
got some incredible, even Mon Mothma,
yeah,
Bix.
she's got a good speech in this one. Oh,
Yeah,
fuck. Like
yeah. She
I
got
normally don't get all like crazy rile up for speeches, but oh my god, it's
no.
so
The
juicy. You're just like
speeches
you get
do
like the tingles on the
deliver.
back of your neck. You're just like, fuck, I want to get up and just
Oh man, I still think about that speech Luthen gave in
yeah.
season 1,
Yeah,
episode
that's
10,
truly
No Way
fucking
Out,
good.
which
Yeah.
is like, he goes on that long speech to Lonnie, and he's like,
Yeah.
what is my sacrifice? He's like, I burned my decency for someone else's future. I
Right.
burned my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. And that hits home so hard when you watch the show, because that's just what it is. This is the struggle people face against the empire, and the rebellion, the people who, you know, are brave enough to stand against it and fight back. That's the story. That's what we're watching. And I found it, at first I was a bit worried because I read that originally they planned to do this show in like 3-4 seasons,
Yep.
maybe. Like they wanted to have a season per. But the thing is, apparently I don't know how true this is, but I did read somewhere that the cost of making a season was like $300 million,
Holy shit.
which is
Like
which
it's
is
like a
in
film.
it is. Well, it's more than a film because it's like
Yeah, right.
more than 12 hours of
Yeah,
television. But it's
I
it's
suppose.
it's incredible. And what's great about this is, like, unlike other Star Wars TV stuff that comes out, this is all practical. There's a lot of like real sets made, a lot of like real locations, and you can tell that there's been real effort put into like making this scale of the story, larger than what we normally get for TV. And I think, I that's what I say. It's insane that this thing exists in the first
Right.
place, and it's even more amazing that he gets to like complete the story and not just like have a
You don't
season.
get a cliffhanger for another season that never happens because they ran out of money.
No, no, I mean, I suppose, that's the thing, is like, if you've seen the show, like, spoilers for Rogue One, but if you've
Yeah.
seen the show, if you've
Spoilers
seen
for Rogue One. You're so funny.
if you've seen Rogue One, you know what happens to Andor, right? I mean, the guy, his fate is sealed in that film.
Right.
But so when I still remember when you first recommended it, the first season, and I was thinking, well, how's this going to work? Because we already know what's going to happen. Like, what
And then
could
you're also
possibly
like,
be?
Andor, who the fuck is that? You have to like look
Yeah, it
at
was
like
like,
the cast from the Rogue One movie. Oh,
yeah,
that
well,
guy.
I did know who it was, because Rogue One is still, like, I would say, one of my more liked Star Wars films than compared to like the stuff that they put out with
Yeah.
the new trilogy. So like I still feel like Rogue One's better than the new trilogy.
Yeah,
So I
I
did, and I
think
think it's
that
pretty good.
it's not a hard argument to make. It's because the original trilogy is untouchable, and then the third movie is kind of whack, but it's still a part of the original trilogy, so it still has that that 80s chime. And then you got these prequel movies that come out that everybody hated but also
And now they
loved
love.
because exactly, of course, now they love him. Jar Jar, who I
Yeah.
love that guy. And then you have all these like spin-off movies. Yeah, I got like a solo movie that was kind of meh. And then you got all these TV
They
shows.
kind of went the novel route of trying to like build up the lore and make
Right.
these connecting events, and it
Like
didn't
I
work out.
honestly, there's like something they haven't really touched in movie form. I feel like if they had the right people making it, they can make a good Old Republic movie that not necessarily related to the games or anything like that, but there could be a good Old Republic story, and I would be all for it. I would be just championing it.
Yeah, yeah, no, the Republic would be, it's still potent, and if anything, this show proves that there's a lot that can be created from this world.
Right.
And I
Star Wars
think
is
that,
not dead. That's what I'm saying.
that's what I find fascinating, because like, Tony Gilroy, I read he gave an interview where he said he didn't even watch the original Star Wars stuff. I mean, the
It's
any of the
awesome.
Star Wars stuff. Like, I think that's so fucking cool because it's like the fact that he only, of course, he watched it when he was making it. The
Right.
fact that he wasn't creatively pressured by like, oh, like I need to do this in a certain way that fits the lore of Star Wars,
Mhm.
fan
No,
service or
they have
whatever.
a team for that. There's an entire like team that does that. Like
Oh,
for
okay.
there's like a team that does like can and all these like Star Wars things.
Right.
They won't necessarily like prohibit his writing or anything like that, but they could
No, I
change
mean, but
something in it to
the
make it
fact,
work.
just the fact that there's no lightsabers in this movie. There's no like
Right.
stormtroopers are really scary when they show up. They're actually a menacing presence.
I
There's
still
no.
think the droids are the scary ones. I think
Oh yeah, yeah.
stormtroopers are
The
still a
droids,
joke.
the droids are scary. No, no, we'll
Fuck
talk
shit up.
about that.
Hmm.
But I think there's so much that he does, and I think they even asked him like, why isn't uh again, why isn't Darth Vader in this show? And he's just like, I just don't think I felt like doing it. And there's he's so honest about not trying to overdo it for the sake of overdoing it, and I think that's just refreshing. I think that I wish more big franchises did that. Where they kind of didn't milk the cow to the bone and like
Right.
actually instead let's reap more and try to get more interesting stories out that can be still set in that world that people are so familiar with, but they don't always have to be a direct callback or fan service or whatever. And I love the fact that this is such a mature story. It's so like
Yeah, it is.
serious, so grounded. I just think it's astonishing to me that this thing exists, and especially in its current like ownership, which is Disney, Disney Plus,
Right.
which is
Right.
where it comes out.
They have
But it's
like
like,
400 TV shows that are mid to awful, whether or not they're
yeah,
Star Wars.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a miracle.
it is a miracle. So I was really concerned about like the fact that they obviously, considering that that was the budget to make the first, and I'm assuming also the second season.
Right.
So they were like, okay, there's no way we can do that. There's no way we'll have that budget to do 4 or 5 seasons. So we're just gonna divide the story into 3 episode arcs in a 12 episode season with time jumps. And that was the thing that kind of worried me at first. I was really skeptical about this. I was like, well, if there's going to be so many time jumps, how is he going to juggle this? Because it's like, it's not easy to write around. Like, there's still a lot of lapses when you do a time jump. But I'm surprised. Like, I thought he pulled it off. I will say that the start of the second season is a bit slow. It's a bit,
Right.
maybe
You
it's
had
very
such
similar
a
to the first season.
high at the end of the first season. It's kind of hard to like match
Yeah,
that energy. I don't
it
blame them.
is. It is, and I do think that it's similar to the first season where it takes its time to get into the
Right.
story. Maybe the first 3 episodes of this, which is surrounds around the Chandrillan wedding,
Yep.
perhaps didn't need so much for that arc.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh, and perhaps there's a bit of a lag building up to the Gorman story, which we'll get into. But it just keeps growing from strength to strength to strength, and it delivers for me, though,
Okay.
I must say. But what were your thoughts about like the opening 3 episodes and the whole
Uh,
structure?
yeah, I kind of felt like it was a little. It started just like the first season. It takes its time. Like Anders trying to steal a TIE fighter in the first episode, and his outfit
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of Jyn Erso in Rogue One
yeah,
when she's like set up as an Imperial. And then he gets caught by the rebels, a different rebel sect that are complete buffoons. And it's a real surprise that
so funny.
they
That was
even
so funny.
survived the Empire. There's just a bunch of fucking idiots.
Yeah, they're in the middle of nowhere, and
Yeah.
he's meant to take over from this other pilot who's just never to be found, and he
Right,
just gets
because they
up.
killed him because he was suspicious.
Yeah, yeah, and I felt like at that it was so funny. I felt like I was watching like Monty Python. These
Right.
guys like
It's just silly.
fucking silly, and they're like fighting over like something so stupid. And Andor himself, like the way he steals that Imperial ship, he doesn't even know how that thing operates. So let alone
Right, because
expect
it's like
this
he
guy.
wasn't supposed to drive it.
No, no. So it's
And
it's like
the only time he has like a chance of surviving is because he's already like an established pilot.
yeah. Yeah, he's got an aviation IQ background, and
Right.
he's somewhat able to figure out how to operate this. I thought it was cool. I like the way it starts. I like how we're into the thick of it with Andor. Because the way it ends in the first season is so impactful. So you're
Right.
like, okay, he's in very much into the rebellion activities. He's participating in you know their plans to
Right. The
whatever
missions.
get
He's being
missions.
an operative. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
he's
like
not sort of
and you get to the second episode and it's like the name is something with the Chandrillans. It's Sangra Tima. I think that's what they
Sagruna,
say.
Sagruna,
Yeah, Sagruna.
Sagruna.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be, and not them, but the Gormans. They're like French coded, so it's
Yeah,
got all
very
that.
French coded. Yeah.
Yeah, the what I wrote for the second episode is fuck this Imperial. Every one of these guys gets a small monicum of power, and it rushes straight to their head. They go mad with power.
Yeah, no, it's insane how, like, there's so many references to, like, the Nazis when it comes to
Oh
the
yeah,
the Imperial and the Empire and the way
yeah.
even their meetings and
Oh yeah,
everything.
they're fascists. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's I really, I really was, like, looking back on it now, I was, like, quite impressed with how they really created that sense of, like, this, you know, body of these guys who govern the universe that they're set in. They're just completely evil, and it's like you're seeing the full extent of their evilness in this film. I mean, in this whole TV
Right,
show, and it's
right,
even more terrifying than even the films do, because the films still kind of have this sort of, I don't know. It's still a family friendly thing where it's kind of
right.
like
And they
not really pushing the lines to show you the reality.
eradicate a planet.
I mean, let's face it, like, Biggs gets sexually assaulted
Yeah.
in
Oh
this
yeah.
show,
It's,
and Partagas offs himself. You won't see stuff
yeah.
like that in any of the Star
Yeah,
Wars
you
movies.
catch this on the Disney Channel.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm really appreciative of how bold and how,
yeah,
like, there's certain lines that they could push and
yeah.
normally
Yeah, and
don't
there's
get anywhere close to
also
that.
a scene with so Dedra and Cyril are a thing
Yeah.
somehow. How the fuck that happens? How she puts up with this bullshit? I don't
What
know.
an unexpected,
Yeah,
like,
if
partnership.
anything came out of this, you wouldn't didn't see that for a million
No.
miles. She meets his mother, and I still hate
Oh,
this lady. She's gross.
I
And it's
still think
funny to see like Dedra like stick up for a character I don't like Cyril.
yeah.
It just
Yeah, 'cause
and
he's
she's a
this
girl boss.
she's kind of like, their dynamics are really interesting because,
Right,
she's good at what she does, which is she's still an intelligence officer who
right,
has the nose to dig out, but perhaps her ways of doing so end up being her downfall. She gets a bit
right.
too deep into what she's doing. And then you got Cyril, who's this classic, bootlicking ladder climber.
Yeah, he's a diaper
He's
sniffer for sure.
by the rules, and he thinks he's being a hero. And then I do want to talk about Cyril, and especially the whole arc with the Gorman story, because I think
Yep.
that was one that surprised me the most. But I didn't expect this relationship. I thought it was funny. I still find his mother to be, like, obnoxiously irritating, and I'm
Yeah,
surprised
yeah.
she has so much screen time. Like,
If you take anything from this, they should have just deleted her character. She should have just died off screen.
Yeah. Well, I kind of it's still great that, Cyril, 'cause look, when Cyril you see Cyril in the first season, I think one of my complaints, if I recall correctly, was like, I'm not sure the amount of investment they put into this character pays off in the first season. But I
Right.
did say the caveat being, we'll still have to see how it works out in the second season. It does deliver in that arc where
Right.
you do see,
Who are you?
uh, but it's still irritating. It's still like, this is not a
Yeah.
character I like to watch, and I
No,
guess that's effective. I think
he's frustrating. Yeah.
Al Solar does a great job portraying this character, and
He's
at
a
the same
worm.
time, his relationship with Dedra is so weird. It's so, it's
Yeah, they
so
don't really have any
mechanized.
chemistry, do they?
They don't have any. Well, it's just, it feels so stilted, and yeah,
Right.
it's
It's like
surprising.
a relationship like out of like convenience rather than out of love.
Yeah, there is no love. There's no affection.
No.
There's just like
No.
control. That's what it is. It's
Right.
just control. We're in a controlling relationship.
Yeah, and she even like keeps him out of her actual plans.
Oh yeah, I mean, he just ends up
A
thinks
pawn.
he's yeah, he's a pawn. That's what he is. He's just a front for. He's just,
The
trying to get in.
Imperial Intelligence. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah, to
he's
get it.
undercover in the fourth episode. Ever been to Gorman? He's trying to reveal a rebel plot on Gorman, but he's a fucking idiot. The Empire is sending their best. LOL.
Oh yeah, I mean, they completely, and this is what I mean about the portrayal of the Empire and how evil they are. Because like, we can talk about it to quite an extent, but that whole setup with the plan behind Gorman and what they intended to do, which is basically, it's genocide, it's a massacre, and it's like, it's inflicting war within their people, and it's playing into their hands. I just thought that was really like, it was evil as fuck to
Right,
see it.
right. Well, they were doing it because they were trying to get the energy for
Minerals
their
or
Death Star. Yeah, they
the
were
Death
trying to
Star.
get energy for it, and it was kind
But
of
it's
wild.
it, it's a bit problematic because it's like Gorman already has an history of sort of a genocide, a
Right.
massacre, in its town center, which is a sensitive issue, and that's what makes the tragedy. I just think it's so tragic what happens.
Yeah, that
Uh,
a character from the original trilogy killed a bunch of people. It was like their Tiananmen Square
yeah.
with General Tarkin, the CGI monster from Rogue One.
Oh, I
Thank God
remember
he
that.
doesn't
I
show
was
up again. I'd give this
oh
series like a 1 out of 10.
yeah, no, no,
Whole
no.
series,
I still
season one
remember
and two.
watching.
You show me General Tarkin again.
I still remember watching him or the CGI in Rogue One and thinking like, this looks this
Well,
does not look
it
natural
it
at
looked
all.
fine if you film it like in like shadows and you don't show his face head on. Like once you show his face head on, then you're in the back of your mind.
I'm still astounded that they did that. I know
Right.
it's like, sure, I'm sure ethically they got the green light to do
Right,
so.
right. They probably hit up his estate and went, "Hey, can we do
Yeah,
this?"
they may have had their blessing or whatever. I don't know, but it's still astounding because it's like, you don't normally see stuff like that. Portrayed bringing back someone who's dead and just completely CGIing them. I mean, I
Just
guess that's
recast
just
them. That's all you got to do. Just recast
probably,
them.
yeah. It would have been the best thing to do, but it's
Wasn't Mon
creative.
Mothma recast, or is that the same actress?
I think it was the same. It was the same
Okay,
actor.
I can't tell. She does look exactly like her. She cuts her
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
So, like, I can't tell. Like, I maybe not the same
To be
actress
honest
from
with
the
you,
original trilogy.
yeah.
I highly
No,
doubt that because
I guess
she's really
I guess
young.
I guess this does lead me to ask you because I haven't seen Rogue One in a while. I think it's been a few years.
Yep.
But did you see it after finishing
I
Andor?
started it,
Okay.
and then I was like,
All
"It's
right.
10. It's 10 p.m. I need to go to bed. I work in the morning." Yeah.
I don't blame.
I definitely when I get a day off, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
Right.
It's kind of wild how you can watch this show and it's like three movies, and then right after it you want to watch Rogue One, and what I call a Rogue One a Jyn Erso story. That's the semicolon right after the series, and it doesn't feel like you're missing a beat.
No, no, it just seamlessly flows in,
And then you
especially
kind of
with
see like Andor be a piece of shit. You're like, this tracks because that's exactly what his character turned into. He's had enough with people and
Oh yeah, it's
shoots
completely
first, asks questions later.
it's completely valid who he becomes by the end of it, and it still is, even in the process of like, his objections with the Gorman heist plans, which, the fact that he could sense that this is not worth it
Right.
because it's only going to lead to more bloodbath and bloodshed. And
Right. And he even says on the planet when one of them's like, oh, we got good intel. Oh, the Imperial are really good at feeding intel, so I don't know how well you trust it.
exactly, he's just got a nose for
Right.
like trouble, and like he just
Mhm.
knows. And it's so funny because it's like the guy is just, he's born to do like be a sort of an adventurer, hustler, or a
Mhm.
vagabond like Han Solo,
Right.
but he's forced into fighting fascism, which I think is
He's a nerf herder if you're Star
yeah,
Wars.
yeah,
A
and
space herding nerf herder.
I find that really interesting about his character, and but also, picking up on where it leaves from the first season into the second season, I thought like it was nice to see some characters, some familiar
Yep.
faces
Yep.
return.
Clea, Axis's partner,
Yeah, yeah.
Luthen's partner. Oh, I love her so much this season. Oh my god, I want to marry her.
Oh, she's incredible, and I'm
She's my
surprised
new
because
favorite. She goes from neg to badass, and it's really freaking sweet.
because in the first season she's just kind of portrayed as an assistant. We don't
Yeah,
really
she's
know
so
the
annoying. She's a bitch.
yeah, she's just annoying, always like scolding Luth and always
Right, you're
being.
gonna get caught.
But she ends up, I must say, like she ended up becoming like one of my favorite characters from the show. Unexpected, like
Right, I
characters
agree.
out of nowhere. That became like I remember telling you like last season, the first season, that it was Andy Serkis as Kino Loy.
Oh
It
yeah, he was
was a character
amazing.
that really made an impression on me. And I think this season it had to be Clea.
Yep,
Uh,
I agree.
especially episode 10. I don't know what it is. This show was episode 10. It's just
That's
on the
that's
money.
where they win. That's
It's just on the money, man.
yeah.
It's always on the money, and it's great. And then yeah, you get to see some other characters too. Like I thought it was sad to see Brasso die.
Oh
He
yep,
was
his best friend.
his best friend from Ferrix. And then you get to see like there's a lot of like action then after that period where
Mhm.
he reunites with Bix. It's nice to
Yep.
see that they get together and they have
And
such
then
a
Bix is a survivor of SA, and it pretty much
not
fucks her
just
up.
that, but also like psychological
Right,
trauma that
where
she
she had
has.
her brain turned into literal scrambled eggs.
Yeah, by Dr. Gorst, and I fucking
Yeah,
love that they.
that's a good. He gets his comeuppance.
Yeah, I fucking love that they end that episode that
Awesome.
way. I don't know what I think it was episode 4 or 5, one of the
Yep.
episodes where I think it was I can't. Yeah, it was episode 6, which I want to point out. Episode 6 was cool because it was
Yeah.
also the
What
bit
a
where they were the heist and they were going into the Davos Skulden party and they had to
yep.
go and get that artifact because
Yep.
there was a
Luthen and
listening
Claire
device.
trying to remove a bug they put on one
Yeah,
of the relics they
and they
installed.
and they
And if the
bump
Empire finds
into.
it, it'll lead back completely up throwing the rebellion.
Yeah, the stakes are completely high, and it leads them to, ironically, it leads them to Orson Krennic, sorry,
Yep.
played by Ben Mendelsohn, who is the villain from Rogue One. Infamously makes his return here. I thought I was really excited when I read this is one of the first things I read was that he was returning in season 2.
Mhm.
Uh, I still remember that badass scene from Rogue One where, Darth Vader chokes him by
Mhm.
using the Force, and he says, "Be careful not to choke on your aspirations." And I thought that was such a funny scene, and it's even more funnier because he tries to do that to Dedra later in the end, while he's interrogating her, and I just thought that was such a funny like it's
All
a
back.
funny. It's not a callback because it will proceed. It
All right.
proceeds
Right.
Uh,
Well, it's a callback to something that's been previously made.
yeah, he's gonna get choked soon enough. But
Right.
it was, yeah, I liked Ben Mendelsohn. I think he's only in it for a few episodes, but he's a looming presence.
Yep. And
Um,
then in that same episode, too bad Mon Mothma's sister's girlfriend, she bits the dust in the Gorman heist. Too bad. Pretty sad. I
yeah,
liked her character. She
yeah,
was cool.
she was
And
cool, and that's what I liked about the show is like, okay, look, you've got like a bunch of characters that probably each character is so
they're just
well written.
expendable for sure.
They're definitely expendable, and
Yeah.
you're watching a story which is about a rebellion, and of
That
course this
is gonna
story,
blow up. They're terrorists. They are gonna blow up the Death Star. They're terrorists that are gonna blow up the Death Star.
yeah, yeah, and it's like watching it, you're kind of like, okay, well, there's so many characters, and you end up figuring like, oh, are they gonna actually, write well around every character, or is this just
Right.
gonna
Or
are
all the
this just
characters
gonna
gonna be like Cyril.
be yeah,
They're well
but
written, but we hate them.
yeah, no, but I like that there was some payoffs here and there because obviously her death is it's so unnecessary, right? And it
Right.
goes to show what this whole thing's about, which is that there's so much that will be lost before you get to see before these guys they're fighting for a cause for which they won't even
They're
see the
not
day.
gonna get it. Yeah, they're not gonna
Yeah,
just like
they're not.
Lathan from the first one. Yep.
Exactly, just like his harkening back to the speech that he gives in season 1 to Lonnie. It's about seeing a sunrise you'll never see. That's what you're fighting
And then,
for.
like going through this whole season, like I'm hearing that speech of rebellion that the young guy that died in the Eldani heist, that I keep hearing that speech just echoing throughout the show, and sometimes it's actually in the show. I'm just like, yes, yes, the seeds of rebellion just keep growing. I like that. Yeah,
It is, yeah. It's an idea, that's never gonna die.
right.
And
Where is the rebellion? It's everywhere. I have friends
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. I like that, especially that. Well, the last 4 episodes we can talk about and extend. Before we get
Mhm.
to that, is like I just love how like Andor is so badass in all these moments. Like
Right.
when he gets to be Varian Sky and go to Gorman as he's his fashion designer.
Yeah, he looks pretty
'Cause you're
hot.
used to yeah, because you're
He
used to
cleans up
seeing him
well.
being, like, really, being kind of a low level type
Yeah,
of guy,
dirty,
filthy,
gross
ragged,
looking. Yeah, ragged. That's
ragged,
a good word for
yeah,
it.
ragged, really ragged,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
here
he
he's
cleans up, he shaves,
cleans up.
yeah.
I
I'm
thought it was
like,
pretty cool. I liked
You
the
kind of look
espionage.
hot.
I liked a lot of the espionage
Yeah.
stuff that happens. A lot of,
Yeah,
like,
like you
digging
said, the
around.
first episode, Tinker Soldier Spy.
Yeah, yeah, that's the film that I compared it to, which is
Hmm.
like more, it's less about spectacle, more about
Right.
intelligence, and I think that's what I enjoy about the show, and not just on the rebellion end, we get to see a lot of drama from the Empire end, right? We
Right.
get to see the Coruscant drama involving Potagaz and Dedra, and Krennic is in the play, and these are characters which we've seen in the first season,
Hmm.
and they still very much exist in the second season, and I quite like that. It's not trying to humanize them
Right,
to
right. It's
make them
still
sympathetic,
showing them
but it's
as evil.
still yeah, but it's still showing them as, not just mustache twirling
Right,
evil
right, right.
actors. Like they're actually there. There's plans. There's a grand scheme, and the way they operate is kind of so much shrouded in secrecy and planning and intelligence in a similar way. It's kind of a mirror to the way the rebellion has to operate, which is in complete secrecy and
Right.
shrouded in
With
intelligence. And you
rubbing
get to see
two
both
nickels
sides of the
together
coin.
trying to make one of their spaceships fly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I quite enjoyed that whole bit as
mhm,
well, and it very much continues that trend that it started in the first season, which I was pleased to see.
mhm. Yeah, and then going at the end of like you said, the end of that sixth episode, Bix getting a revenge feels amazing. Now, revenge is almost never worth it in real life, but this scene makes you so happy. She left her torturer to be tortured in the same way she was tortured. It also is amazing to see Cass there, backing her up with the explosion to the facility. Badasses don't look at explosions.
No, no, I love the way look. It could be some may find that to be that's so
A
cheesy. I
little
don't care.
cheesy. No, I loved it. I
I
loved it.
thought it was perfect. Give me all the cheese. I love
Yeah.
it. That was like perfectly,
Chef's kiss.
chef's kiss, exactly like you say. And it's like for me, I'm quite, in fact, I wanted more from Bix's story. I think that they could have done more with her story. It's great that we get to see her resolve this trauma that she has that obviously affects her life in this film, and the fact that they need to be in a safe house in Coruscant, and they have to be really careful about the way they live, and it shows a lot about the sacrifices they have to make, and especially her character, what she goes through. And I think it does leave it in a hopeful light for her. It is still tragic what happens in the end, but I would have loved to see even more. I think they could have done more, but at the same time, they're juggling so many
Plot
arcs.
lines. Yep.
Yeah,
Trying to get it all cohesive together, not all over a place and random, and doesn't make any sense. It doesn't feel like
exactly.
four adjuncated seasons. It does. I don't think it feels like that at all.
That itself is incredible. The fact that they managed to structure it, make 4 seasons into 1 season is incredible. It
Mhm.
sounds impossible to do so because there's so much I'm sure that we'll never know about that could
Right.
have been explored even deeper, but they had to make the conscious choice to streamline what they can and still put up a great compelling piece of drama that hits. And that's what I mean. Like the time skips, we see how that affects Mon Mothma when she's at the Chandrillan wedding. She's
That
still,
that song. Oh my god,
oh
it's
yeah, that
way
disco,
harder than it needs to. Holy shit.
that disco beat was a bit too. I had to actually no lie. I actually did go on YouTube and try to find the track and
Hell
just listen.
yeah. No, I'm sure it's on Spotify. I'm sure it's just a
Yeah,
track.
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
is. It
whoever
is.
made that track, props to you. If
Yeah,
I
it is.
want to
It's
look up
so
your
cool.
Spotify,
So
you
cool.
did something right.
It's so cool. It left an impression, and also the fact that it's like there's certain things that happen, and you're left wondering, oh well, what happened to them? And then you realize, oh shit! Like take Kolma, right? The guy, the
Right.
friend, her childhood friend from season 1, who is the banker, who helps her fund the credits and hide the transactions of her funding the rebellion. In this case, he's in a shittier position now because he's seeing his wife's left him, and that's put him in sort of debt, and then he's seeing the vetting, and it's like he's kind of making there's a hint of blackmail, and Luton just decides, oh yeah, we just need to off this guy and get rid of him, you know because he's a threat, because if he defects.
He blows the whistle, he'll blow the whistle on the whole
Exactly.
operation.
Exactly. So it's like that's what makes me, and then there's a scene in the end where you see like when Mon Mothma is in Yavin, you get to see one
Yep.
scene where you see Perrin with the spouse of Skulden in a car, and it makes you wonder like why are these two spouses together? Like, are they in a relationship? What's happened to what happened? What's the context here? It's like there's still stuff, and I can totally tell that they had to cut stuff and they couldn't put stuff in, but it does make you wonder like, oh, what happened to this guy, what happened to that guy, and then you're left filling the blanks, and you kind of realize, oh shit, like something bad probably happened. And that's, I think, that goes to show like also the stuff with Luton. He's a character here who's still very much making hard decisions, and that means sometimes.
He's a boogeyman that Dedra's been chasing basically since
Yeah,
the beginning of the
he's
show.
he is Axis.
Yep.
He is who Dedra is obsessed. It's kind of in a similar light to how
How
Cyril is
Cyril was
obsessed
obsessed with
with Andor.
Andor. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting that the two mirrors exist. But Luton, I was quite sure he was gonna die. I don't know why. Because I know obviously we don't see him in Rogue
In Rogue
One.
One, no.
Yeah. So it always left me wondering, like, yeah, oh well, that means
He's going
he'll
out in a
end
blaze of glory.
probably going out in a yeah,
Yeah,
but
I didn't see him on Yavin 4. He wasn't one of the characters in the background.
no, no,
Which I haven't seen Yavin since the original Star Wars. At least I don't remember. But it's the home
I didn't
base of the
even
Rebel Alliance in the original trilogy.
I didn't even know about Yavin until I
Yavin
watched
4, yeah.
these. Yeah,
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 and I think in Return of the Jedi, there's an entire battle that happens on Yavin.
oh right,
Yeah, that's where the speeders and Leia's wearing the green. Yeah,
right. Well,
at least I think that's it. Yeah,
I
you haven't seen
haven't
the original trilogy in a long time, I'm
in
sure.
in a billion years. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I've seen these movies so many goddamn times that I remember every
well, that's
little
good.
detail.
Well, that's good because you can provide me
Some
and it's
context.
also interesting because it's like you're watching it from the lens of being a fan of the originals, and I'm watching it,
Right.
with a different sort of like
As an
association.
Andor fan.
Yeah, as an Andor fan, as a Tony Gilroy fan, and
Hell yeah.
like you said, who knows whether he'll would he even touch anything
Is
to do
he
with
gonna
Star Wars?
turn into what's the cowboy hat guy that's making
Clint
Mandalorian?
Eastwood,
No. Yes. Clint Eastwood.
cowboy hat. Who wears cowboy hat?
There's a cowboy hat guy. I can't ever remember his goddamn name. The guy who makes Mandalorian. What happened to him? He's made like 3 seasons in Mandalorian, and then it kind of got bad. Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni was executive producer on Mandalorian. So Dave Filoni made the cartoon shows, and what ended up happening, Rebels and Clone Wars. And he's directed a couple episodes of Mandalorian. Yeah. So he's a writer and a director. And so what ends up happening is you get to that like third season of The Mandalorian, you're like, Dave Filoni could do no wrong. But then the third season came out, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
I got to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I haven't seen.
Yeah. So he directed it,
Mandalorian.
and Jon Favreau wrote it.
Okay, interesting.
And he's not related. That explains a lot. He was not directing at all in the third. That explains so much.
Well, and that just shows you, like, look, end of the day, what I liked is like there's a lot of collaborators, right? Especially
Right.
when it comes to making a TV show, you need to have multiple directors.
Right. It's not
scheduling.
just one guy doing
You
everything. It's true.
You could tell there's sort of a writer's room, and there's there's definitely a powerful collaboration happening. But the good thing is, it's still Tony Gilroy's vision through and through.
Right. He gets the final say.
Yeah, he gets the final say, and I think that's still important because it's like a creator or showrunner is kind of like the conductor who's orchestrating everything, right? And
Trying
there's
to make it all make
various
sense.
musicians contributing to the whole piece, and that's how it is. And I'm sure a change of direction like that would affect any other piece. I mean, I've not seen the second season of Mandalorian or the third season, but I'm not surprised if you say that.
Well, the second season is fine. The third season is upsetting.
Right. Well, it's still a different kind of show.
It is not as bad as the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, that
Any
other
other
bad
show.
one. Yeah.
I haven't seen.
I wanted Ahsoka to be good because I like the actress.
Mm.
I really like
Oh
her.
yeah,
Audrey, or what the fuck's her name? Nah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Rosario Dawson. I like her.
Yeah, Rosario
Yeah,
Dawson.
she's hot.
Yeah, she's a good actor.
Yeah, I liked her in a lot of stuff. Yep. So anyway, going back to Andor. Yeah, it's like we've said 100 times. It's a miracle that this was made and it was made well.
Yeah,
and
I wanted
Go ahead.
I wanted to get your view on episode 8.
8. Who are you?
Who are you? Which is the episode. I would say that's the first big episode in the show that had an impact.
The Empire employs the KX battle droids. who
Yeah,
literally mow people down.
it's the episode that obviously leads to the Gorman conflict, and then you're seeing Dedra is stationed in, and the whole thing is just a ploy to get the Gormans to, you know,
Right.
retaliate,
To
but they
riot.
don't know.
To riot. That's
Riot,
that's
yeah,
what they're
riot.
trying to
Sorry,
do. Yeah, they got
riot.
the riot shields out and everything. And Cyril, even after
Ah,
being an annoying piece of shit, gets to see the evil of the Empire at first at hand.
yeah, and that really surprised me, John. I didn't expect Cyril to like have a change of heart,
Right.
and to really realize at first he's a dummy who's been played even by
So dumb.
Dedra, still a dummy, and
When he
but the
finds out he
fact
got played by her, he's so mad. He's like, what
he's
the fuck?
he's so wild, and it's
And then he
like
does like something crazy shit and he like tries to like threaten her.
yeah, no, it's strange. Dedra goes through some stuff this season physically,
Right.
but
Yeah.
like I didn't expect him to actually, because that is what
Give
it
a
is.
shit. Yeah.
You're
Right.
sympathizing with what was happening when with the Gormans, and
Mm.
man, I just find that whole thing to be so tragic when they're like, they're singing their song, the
Right.
anthem.
Yep.
It's like
The
just,
French coded people. Yep.
and you're just hearing that, and you're seeing them gather, and you're just thinking, well, they're just gone.
Right.
It's going to be awful. What's going to happen? Because you could
Right.
see it coming from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it all kicks off is so tragic. It's brutal. I think it's like, again, stuff you'd never see in a normal Star Wars movie.
No.
And
No.
the fact that it
This is
builds up,
definitely for adults.
yeah, the fact that it builds up to, it just builds in tension. It's so intense.
Mhm.
I mean, Andor's over there. He's trying to actually, his mission to kill Dedra.
Yep.
So he's
Yeah, he
in there,
keeps trying to get a shot in on her.
yeah, yeah. But and then you're seeing Cyril, who's in the crowd. He's sympathetic because he realizes what he's done, which is
And
doomed him.
then he even
And then all that
confronts
goes
one of the
away.
guys and he's like, "You know what you did." Like one of the guys he was like talking to like in the Gorman rebellion.
Yeah,
He's like, "No, you betrayed me. Yeah, you sold us
yeah,
out."
the Gorman. Yeah, it's interesting to see that the rebellion exists even in Gorman. The
Yep.
Gormans have this because they've been, they've been under suspicions of they've been suspicious of the Imperial building
Right. They're like,
weaponry,
what are they building?
armory,
Why are they
armory in this.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the heist which they conduct is, again, that's just a ploy, right? It's
Right.
a setup to play into the Imperial's hands. Like they want
Mhm.
them to go and heist and conduct that heist and get like breadcrumbs to make them think that they're actually doing something and having a say.
Right.
But they're just dooming themselves while they're doing it, which is what makes it even more tragic. Is like then you see this happen, and then Cyril is sympathetic, but then all of that goes away when he catches sight of Andor and
He
just like
sees red.
red.
And they
He's
fight. And it
oh,
is brutal.
it's it's a brutal scene,
And the
and
funny thing is, Cassian
yeah,
has no
there's
idea
no
who the hell
clue.
he
Yeah,
is.
that
He's
that
just
made
like
me
Thanos. I don't even know who you are.
like, who are you?
Who are you?
Like he's a guy from nowhere just assaulting him and wanting to kill him,
Right.
choking him, and you're just
He's like,
left
why is a
wondering.
Gorman attacking me?
It's so it's yeah. I think it's funny he gets his brains blown out.
Yeah.
Cyril.
Thank God Cyril finally dies, if not for Deus Ex Machina, random rebel who shoots him in the head.
No, it wasn't the random rebel. It was actually the father of the Gorman. The main.
Oh, okay. I wasn't paying that much attention.
It was the designer who Andor
Okay.
met when he came as Varian Sky. It was
Yeah, there's so
part
much
of the.
chaos in that scene. It was hard to piece it
Yeah,
together.
I don't blame you. There's a lot happening, and that's not even the brutal bit. I think what we spoke about was you see those KX Enforcer droids
Yeah.
coming in, which is the character K2
Yep.
in Rogue One. And you're seeing, it's interesting how they show the origins of his character here,
Right.
because when they get
Yeah,
deployed
Alan
and they
Tudyk.
just Alan Tudyk, voices K2. But these droids, which are programmed to kill, are so terrifying, and they're just
Yeah,
wiping
yeah, they're just mowing them
Gothjon.
down. Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't stand a
it,
chance. Their little pea shooters aren't going to do shit to their armor.
no, no, it's fucking brutal,
Yeah.
and you get to see the droid that gets killed, that's about to kill Andor, but
Right.
luckily, again, another Deus Ex Machina, where this guy just comes in and rams into the droid and saves
Yep. Just
Andor.
hits him with the
That
car.
that droid ends up becoming K2 because he's,
Mhm.
reprogrammed and reassembled once they take it over to Yavin. So I thought that was a nice touch, that again connects the dots, but at the same time terrifying now that you think about it, like what that droid stands for and what it kind of what it represents really. But I did like we got to see some K2 in the end, especially in that last few episodes.
Mhm.
Once
Yeah,
he's
it was badass too. That was a really cool scene when
yeah,
he's like
yeah.
on a rampage and
Yeah,
he's
it
a
was
good guy.
it was really badass. It was really
Mhm.
badass. But like I think episode 8 was really good in like I wouldn't say the Gorman story was satisfyingly concluded because we still don't get to see, the aftermath or what that results in, but it was satisfying in building that tension to that event, which again will be, another very integral part of the rebellion story. And then, of course, that leads us to, episode 9, which is Welcome to
Welcome
the
to the
Rebellion.
rebellion. Yep.
And, this is where, you know, the drama centers around Mon Mothma as she has to
Mhm.
deliver this speech.
She's got
And
to practice the speech and she's got to not look like she's about to do a speech.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she's
And
really
it's,
hesitant and flip floppy about leaving Coruscant. She doesn't know who to trust.
yeah,
And Cassian is the only
yeah.
person that could get her the hell out of her. And
No,
she
I mean,
can't fight.
it's,
She ain't gonna shoot a
it's
gun. She ain't gonna kill anybody.
oh no, she ain't, and it's a really tense moment in the story. You get to see again Luthen's involvement in this is super integral again.
Claire
And
gets
then
her
you get
hair
to
down.
see,
Oh, so beautiful.
and then you get to see that that Mon Mothma's was it secretary or her partner or whatever was like actually Erskine Mirage, the guy who was his
Yep.
assistant, I think, her assistant was
Yep.
actually planted by Luthen to protect and provide info and sort
Mhm.
of keep her. And I think that betrayal was again when she realizes she feels betrayed. But that guy came in clutch though. He
No,
was
he
like,
saved her life. He's one of the reasons why she's still alive.
yeah,
Because
very much,
there was the other guys that were trying to bring her in, the
yeah,
Imperial agent that was
yeah. It was so tense,
yeah, no, that was
because it's
insane.
like
Yeah.
when she gives that speech denouncing Emperor Palpatine, you just
Mhm.
know, like the Imperials are like, shut this thing down, like shut the whole building down, and them
Yep.
like and then I just fucking love how they show Andor has to go in, rescue her, get her out. It's complete chaos. I love the bit where he's like confronting her driver, who's like again a plant by the ISB, and then
And he's
he
like, "What's
asks,
his name?"
"Hey, what's his name?" And
And
she's
then
like,
he just
"We
shoots
got her,
him.
we got her." And he shoots her. It's stuff like that. It's just tiny details like that is what makes Andor as a character so fucking badass. And it's like, this guy just thinks on his feet. He just
Mhm.
knows
He's a
he knows how to
survivor.
work.
He's scrappy. He knows how to get the fuck out of there. Yeah,
And
going back to Mon's speech. So there are so many parallels to modern American politics. Like some of like the quotes like in her speech, like the difference what is said and what is known to be true has become an abyss. And of all things to risk, the loss of objective reality is perhaps the most dangerous. Like that can straight up in American politics be straight up parallels with our current presidency. Now, everyone knows I am no fan of our current president, but a lot of this stuff is with like you have like news agencies that are blatantly not showing the truth, and sometimes it feels like fascists like North Korea sometimes, where you have whoever wins the fight, they're going to be running the history, and when it's our federal government that does that, then you're just like, okay, mask off, we're all fascists now.
Yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
and I'm not going to do her whole speech, but it really does resonate like greatly with American politics. And like I said earlier, like I got up, I'm just like I'm pacing around, I'm just like fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a brilliant moment, and the fact that she finally, because you could see it's a bubble waiting to burst. Like she's
Mhm.
holding so much in, trying to
Right.
do this, and it's
Yeah.
costing her complete status
Hmm.
in the
Her
Senate, and everything that
safety
she has,
and
her
her
safety, her
everything.
mental well being, her family, and it's like, again, it's a very powerful moment for her character, and I think, yeah, it definitely was one of the memorable moments for the show that thrusts the whole drama forward. And yeah, she's officially, part of the rebellion when she does it,
Yep.
because
Yep.
up
She's
until then,
flown to Yavin, and they don't want Cassian to fly her to Yavin. They want to make it a whole thing. They want to make it look
they
like the
do.
rebellion brought her in.
They do. And just when Cassian was having you'd expect him to have a peaceful life in Yavin with Bix, and well, he has to call to action again.
They call him in
Um,
for one more job.
yeah, I mean, and I think it's sad. I was really sad to see, like, because when he does that job, and then he's like, I'm done.
Right.
I've realized that this is, I don't want this. What I want is you.
Mm,
And then he's like, you see, oh yeah, he's finally, like, realized that maybe he can step away and live a life with his the love of his life, and maybe have a happy sort of life to live. But it's like, yeah, she she leaves him, not because she doesn't like him, but because she realizes how important he is to the rebellion, and she wants him to, like, fulfill what he needs to do, his responsibility, while she, distances herself, because she probably realizes that she can never be safe
right. And
with
that
him.
should only be used as a pawn against him.
Maybe, and also, but then the context of of her having his child changes everything too. We don't know if she consciously did that because she knew she was pregnant with his kid and wanted to, protect the child or whatever,
Right. Not bring a
not
kid
to.
up and that shit.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I think it's still pretty tragic, and I think that's why when Wells says to Andor, "You
Mm,
should speak to her," but we know that'll never happen because he'll never see her again, and he'll probably
right.
he dies knowing that, never knowing that he has a kid.
Yep.
I think that's really sad. I think, and I think, it's hopeful because
Mhm.
maybe it'll leave something for the future that we'll see, maybe. But it's still sad in the story of Andor, and, like, the fact
Mm,
that he was, what happened to him in his childhood and how he was separated. Let's not
right.
forget, the show starts with him looking for his sister. That completely gets sidetracked with him becoming a part of the rebellion, right? I mean, I
Yep.
don't think we ever get to. I don't
No,
think he
we
ever
never
gets
get that
that
closure, but that's fine.
That's,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was the
It
start of
is.
the mission. It wasn't the end of it.
Yeah, it was the start of the mission, never the end of it. Yeah, I think it's still kind of tragic for his character, and for Big Stu, played by Adria Arjona. I think that leads to, episode 10, which is Make It Stop, which is, again,
Yep.
the episode for me that really, one of my, I would say, arguably my favorite episode of the season. Uh, just because there's this, the tension is through the roof in this
Oh,
episode.
I agree.
Uh, and you're just, like, wondering what is going to happen.
Yeah, no, anything can
Luthen,
happen. That's the thing.
Yeah, look, the cat's out of the bag here because
Right.
things are slipping off, and
Right.
Luthen
Yeah,
Luthen
Luthen
senses
should have left Coruscant like 5 years ago. Like he was playing way too fast, way too
probably
loose.
probably. I always found it. I always
He
found
just
it.
loved cosplaying.
Yeah, I fucking love that. The fact that he was wearing a wig and posing as this charming antiquities dealer, and he's in
Dedra
all
even
these.
like brings it up.
Yeah, and he's in all these events, and he's in, where all the
Oh,
ISB officers and
the
generals
tension.
are, and yeah, and I think it sets up the bit with Lonnie. I thought was really shocking too, because it's like, yeah, this is his mole who's been planted in for years.
In ISB
Uh,
in the uppers.
who,
That's how he
yeah,
gets the information of the Death Star. So he
exactly.
goes to Luthen and goes, "Hey, I need to get out. They have something big." And he's like, "You need to tell me right now."
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
tells him, and then he
and
kills him.
then he kills him. He kills him because he doesn't trust that Lonnie will be able to keep it to himself. Which I
Right? He
thought,
won't
again,
blow the whistle. Yeah.
yeah, which again,
Yeah.
just that just symbolizes who Luton is, who's a
Yep.
guy who's willing to do anything it takes,
Anything.
right? And just when you're like expecting, when you're seeing that, and then you're seeing, you know, him finally being confronted by Dedra, who gets onto
Yeah.
him, and that
Yeah. And
scene is perfect.
this scene like opens, and it's just like, oh well, I know what's going to happen now. And it
Yeah,
doesn't matter what he says. Like, yeah, she meets him for the first time to arrest him, and
yeah,
Luthen's
yeah.
caught, and he tries to unalive him.
You see the
And
mask slip away perfectly, and then that
absolutely,
exchange. It's like,
yeah,
it's when the robber and the guy who's
yeah. When
pursuing
she
him.
pops open the mechanical thing from like the first
Yeah,
season,
and it's
that
the
was the whole
reaction.
reason why she found it
Yeah, yeah. I thought that, but what surprised me that episode was actually the fact that it becomes an origin flashback story
for
of
Clea.
how
Yep, as an
Clea,
orphan.
and how yeah, and
Luthen
how she,
was in the military,
yeah, the fact
and
that he's an imperial commander, and he was disgusted by what he did, what they were doing, which is wiping out that hometown where Clea is from, and then he finds Clea in the ship and
he adopts
decides to
her.
keep her, adopts her, and leaves the Imperial, and that's where you're seeing their relationship formed, and you're seeing that massacre, you're seeing that and her performance from the child actor is incredible. I thought it
Right.
was
They weren't
it
very distracted that she's a child actor. She did good.
Yeah, no, she was really good. Her negotiating skills in that scene. Well, also the fact that Luton's a guy who's like, again, will be what we need to be,
Right.
and when he detonates that bomb on the bridge, it's like,
Don't look at me. Look at me.
yeah,
Don't look
yeah,
away.
yeah.
Look at me.
But I really liked and normally I'm not a fan of flashbacks, but I really thought it was
Right.
beautiful written, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah. It was
perfect.
an addition, not a subtraction for sure. Like it didn't feel like it didn't need to be there. It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It was great to see some flashback to see, because Luton's such an enigmatic character,
Right.
arguably the most enigmatic character in this whole show since we first saw him, and it's great to see their relationship, and the origin of where they met and what they built. But the fact that leads to Clea having to infiltrate this hospital, which is a
Yes.
site watch. Oh
Yeah,
my
she
god!
expertly solid snakes her way into the hospital and sets off a
Yeah.
diversion, a bunch of explosions.
Oh, so good. So
Yeah,
intense.
yeah, so
So
intense.
intense. I was like edge of my
She
seat.
Yeah,
Uh,
she takes scrubs and then sneaks into this hospital where Luthen's being held because he tried to unalive himself, and they had like the best machines keeping him alive so that Dedra can interrogate him and get all the information of the rebellion. And she's just like, she shoots a guy, she's lying to people perfectly, she's like walking around, finally meets up with them and is like, oh, gotta kill you. Sorry, bro.
yeah. Yeah,
Saves a
and
whole
then
rebellion.
the bit with the bit with the alien
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
patient that he's taking. she's taking, and like she's like, "Oh, sorry, like we're trying to get her to a daughter or whatever." That was a perfect bits of humor there that came out of nowhere, which was
Right.
funny in a rather intense sequence. But I thought that whole scene where she ends up finally getting into the Luthen and having to unplug his life support was such a profound moment. Where she has a tear and then kisses him for the last time, and
She knows what she
it's just
has
like
to do and what he would do in the same position.
what he would do exactly, because what he does is he tries to kill himself, which they need him alive.
Right.
They kept him on life support, and yeah, I just thought it was such a powerful writing. It was powerfully written ending, not only for his character but for what Clea has to go through, and it's even more, I would say, impactful because of the flashbacks and yeah, I just thought that was a standout episode, Make It Stop. And I guess that leaves us with the final two episodes, which,
Who else
Dedra
knows?
gets, yeah,
And
snowballed.
Jeddah, Kyber, Urso.
Yep. Yep. And pretty much setting up where Rogue One starts. And, you
Mhm.
get to see Dedra being interrogated by Krennic,
Yeah.
the leak.
You also get to
And
see her in a jumpsuit.
yeah, yeah.
The same one that Andy Serkis was wearing.
Yeah, you do, and it was so funny that they did that scene
Oh my god, yeah.
because the callback was so good
Mhm.
to that prison, and I was thinking, yes, this is what I mean. It's like tiny stuff, tiny details like
Yeah.
that they took the time to call back on, which is more fulfilling because it gave it to us in this show, not you know as opposed to call back to something already
Right, that
famous.
we already know, like the Millennium Falcon or
Yeah,
something obscure,
yeah,
like this character is Leia's adoptive father, which they did do, but if you'd have to be a giant dork to know that,
yeah. You would,
like I
but at
like
this
I did.
well, you're a hardcore fan, so
Yep.
I don't blame
My
you. But
childhood,
it's
I
like,
have to be.
yeah, but I fucking love that whole bit where Andor has to come back to Coruscant and save Clea.
Yep.
The fact that that whole bit, that again another excellent sequence where she's hiding in that safe house and
Mhm.
he
Yeah, that fight
flies.
scene was great.
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that the signal jammers and the tension is through the roof because you're like they're literally a floor below. Uh, and it's like, yeah, it's incredible. And then K2 is the hero who saves the day. He just like fucking rams through the entire fucking ISB crew and saves them. And yeah, I love that sequence. I thought Coruscant. I love the architecture of Coruscant. I think in the first season I was a bit underwhelmed with the drama surrounding Coruscant, as opposed to like other exciting sequences and Narkina, Aldani, and the prison. But I think Coruscant very much gets a fulfilling like
Arc.
perk in this
Mhm.
season, and it comes together really well. I really like that whole rescue mission, and yeah, it just shows who Andor is and what he's all about, and
He's
and his relationship with K2.
shoots first, ask questions later.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
do something, ask for forgiveness later, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's great. I guess we could talk about like unless there's anything else you want to point out from episode 11,
11, no.
but
11, I actually have no notes for 11.
yeah, yeah. No, it
It's
was a
all
good
about
it was a
12.
good yeah. It's I
All
guess
about
episode
12.
12 is the series finale,
Yep, the
uh,
climax.
the climax that leads to. It's interesting because it's like it ends in a it doesn't end in a sort of crazy,
No.
intense. It kind of ends in a way that will lead to Rogue One very seamlessly.
Yeah.
But it sets things up really well. It kind of I like that montage at the end where you kind of see what happens to everyone. But you more importantly, you get to see Andor come back and reveal, that Luthen is dead and what he died for, and there's a bit of like hesitation and like you know, they're not convinced that maybe he's telling the truth, which I found funny. What was your whole deal with that? 'Cause like That was quite a yeah. When he comes back and he's trying to like deliver this piece of intelligence, which is so important.
Right. It's integral to their survival and everyone's survival because once the Death Star is up and running, they can kill any planet.
Literally, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And they do end up doing that, but they don't know that they have that capabilities. They think, the empire is so big, it's hard to get anything done. It's kind of like American government today, like it's too big to get anything done. And when they do get something done, you're like, "Whoa, they got something
yeah,
done."
yeah. And this is where again they listen to that manifesto that Nemec
Yep.
from that first season says, which you pointed out.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think it comes full circle in such a cool way. You get to see Dedra in that prison. You get to see Partagaz commit suicide just when he's about to be arrested. And yeah, you see Saul Guerrera. I think we didn't mention him,
Oh, but he's
but
kind of forgettable.
he is forgettable. It's
Yeah.
cool that he's in this. It's cool that
Right,
he is.
because it's a
He's in the show.
nice continuance of Rogue One. Yeah, I think he was in the first season too.
Was he? I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. See, that's how
I don't think
forgettable his
so.
character is. You wouldn't
I
remember.
don't think he was. I don't think he was.
Okay,
But
I can't remember.
I'm not mistaken. But but again, it just ties things together,
Mhm.
and there's some other characters as well, like Vilmon. You kind of left wondering what's going to happen to him. And yeah, what did you think of that whole episode?
I thought it was great. My favorite episode is Welcome to the Rebellion, but that's just because I love that speech. I do agree that 10 is an excellent, but yeah. No, I thought it was a good like sending off into Rogue One. In fact, it did make me want to watch Rogue One. That's no surprise. But like I said, I can't be watching Rogue One at 10 at night.
Well, I think
'Cause
watching this after watching Andor,
yeah.
you go watch Rogue One. It certainly
Yeah.
deepens what Rogue One
Yeah,
feels like.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
this season could have easily been broken up into multiple seasons like we were saying. And sometimes it feels extremely long when an episode is almost it really feels like like if you're a real binge consumer of media, you'll struggle to watch this series in a reasonable amount of time without completely ignoring your entire like life. And it's not that it's poorly paced or anything, it just feels like like several extremely long try to binge it.
no, it's like watching several movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 6 movies. Because the way it's structured, which is like 3 episode arcs,
Mhm.
and that goes in line with the way the show came out. It
Yeah.
was released in blocks of 3 episodes, which is kind of unusual. You don't normally see people release. I don't know why they did that because it clearly could have it could have gone on a 12-week run if it had
They
to, and then,
probably realized that, like we were saying, like you
yeah,
can't just
rating.
binge it all. That ratings, retention,
People
a
weren't
lot
gonna
of
watch
stuff
it.
like that. Yeah,
People weren't. Unfortunately, people don't. People weren't gonna watch the show. It's received immense critical acclaim, right?
right. Everybody loves
It
it.
it's even nominated at the Emmys. Although Diego Luna got snubbed for an awards actor category, which I'm pissed about because
All
he
right.
totally deserves it. So does some other actors in this show,
Mhm.
but that doesn't take away from how great the show is. I just think like it's only gonna get better as it ages because it's an incredibly well made show. I like we said, it's a miracle that this show exists, and it ends. It ends in such a normal. I mean, not a normal, but it ends in such a natural way that sort of leads to the next thing that goes on, and that's what it is. It's like the essence of the story is that there's so many battles that need to be fought. There's so many battles that'll be lost before you can even claim victory.
Mhm.
And that's what it's about. The fact that they could do this, we all remember Star Wars for the iconic lightsaber fights or the Millennial
Oh, the
Falcon.
lightsaber
Whatever.
fights sucked in the old trilogy.
I mean, I'm just saying,
They were two
people remember.
geriatric old men swinging
I'm
batons at
just,
each other.
I'm just saying, people remember
No, they
Star
remember
Wars.
the music. They remember
Yeah,
the opening
John
crawl.
Williams score,
Yeah.
and you
They
could probably
remember
say it
Han
better.
shooting first.
Exactly. Look, that's what I mean. It's like they'll remember it for all those memorable moments, but the
Yep.
fact that this show could exist, could take a character that, in the grand scheme of things, is not is people will remember Luke Skywalker.
Right.
They'll
Or
probably
Han
don't know who
Solo
Andor,
or
but they'll probably never
Chewbacca.
know. They'll probably never know who Luton Rail was or who
Nope.
Cassian Andor was. But these
Nope.
guys were, they were integral. They were the reason why the rebellion could exist and continue to exist.
Mm.
And that's what it's about. The fact that they could do this and take a character and go that deep. And yes, I think it's phenomenal. It does have its issues in trying to do this and filling everything, but I think it pulls it off in the end. Do you think it pulls it off?
Yeah, I think it sticks the landing.
It's six
The
landing. Yeah.
landing isn't the thing that I have problems with.
No, no. But what do you have problems with?
It just feels like you could cut some stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Uh, I think it's really generous that they could do 12 episodes
Right.
a season because normally
You get 6 or 8.
yeah, 6 or 8. I'm not complaining. I think it was great because of the structure. But I
Mhm.
do agree. Like I said at the start of the podcast, it's just like the Chandrillian vetting being 3 episodes long.
Right.
Was it necessary? Probably
No.
not.
No. No.
The
In
build
fact,
up between 4, 5, 6 to 6 probably kind of takes a while to get going with the Gorman stuff. Could have could have been maybe a better pace, sure.
yeah,
Uh,
honestly, you just skip the first 2 episodes. I think you're fine then.
yeah, yeah, you could be you're just getting a feel for it.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed a bit of the adventure from the first season,
Yeah.
but the first season put Andor in that light. He was an adventurer, but in the
Mhm.
second season he's a captain.
Mhm.
So it kind of makes sense. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It ends with Bix and Andor's kid as
Yep.
she wistfully looks at the horizon.
Who is
Yeah.
definitely a Jedi in a movie that hasn't come
Probably will be, right?
Right.
Probably will be.
Right. Her
But
name is Ray Skywalker. Oh wait. Oh, sorry, that's a different movie.
no, that's a different movie. But yeah, want to go into final thoughts? So give it a review,
Sure.
a rating.
All right. It was pretty decent. Like I've been saying, I'd cut some things, make it more streamlined. The show takes a lot on you to watch, especially like I was saying, if you want to binge it, don't do it. Watch it in chunks, take breaks, take a stretch, let it air out. I really like season 1, like a lot. In fact, like Adi said earlier, it's probably up there in like my favorite like TV shows, like period. I really want to watch Rogue One now.
Which is good.
Yeah, it did what Tony Gilroy said. You want to watch Rogue One after the show ends. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I didn't like it as much as last season, but it was pretty amazing.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, well, I agree with everything you say. I think it's incredible that this ends in 2 seasons because it's so rare to see something like this. And we've all spoken about like how crazy and insane it is for this to exist. I think this season was great. It probably has a lot to pack in, and it was hard to watch at points because of what you mentioned. It's not something you could just breeze through because of the way it's structured. But overall, I fucking loved the show. I think it's like one of the best pieces of television come out in recent years. The world building and Tony Gilroy's vision coming into sync, the performances by Diego Luna and Stellan Skarsgård and all the other characters we get to see. I will give this a 9 out of 10, and I think that I'm not sure if we'll ever see anything like it from Star Wars. It remains to be seen.
Probably not.
I only think this is gonna like age like fine wine,
Mhm.
and it'll if we're lucky we'll get a good show. They'll pay attention and they'll learn from everything this show got right. If we're not lucky, well, we're glad we got this show right, because it'll always
They
be
can't
there.
take that away from us. They can Lucasism everything. We will still have this. I will still have this. They can't.
Yeah. Overall, as a series,
the video files are out there. It's not going anywhere.
So if you gave this season a 7 out of 10, what would you give the series overall?
Overall,
to rate.
probably an 8 or 9. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'd stick with the 9. I think it's
Yeah.
still incredible. Still compelling TV.
Yeah.
It doesn't even
Series for
matter.
sure, yeah.
If you're not into Star Wars, doesn't matter. Watch
You don't even have to be.
You don't have to be. I don't know everything about Star Wars, but this was so good. It's incredible. And yeah, glad that we got to experience it. So that concludes our review of Andor season 2. You can check out all our other episodes at the 2 Act Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep, we did season 1. Go check it out.
we did season 1 a while back, but you can check that review out as well. But that's goodbye from me.
All right, I'm gonna go watch Rogue One. No joke. This week, this episode makes you really itch wanting to watch it, and it's not a joke. I'm gonna watch Rogue One. See you, Space Cowboy.